Welcome to Mathless Everything Journey. Today we're going to look at two problems. So the first problem says, what value would make the equation true? So we have this equation, negative 2.1 minus some number will be equal to negative 1.5. The first thing to do when you're doing these problems is multiple choice. Look at your answer choices. All your answer choices are in decimal. But in the equation, you have decimal, plus you have fraction. What you can do, you can change this fraction into a decimal. I'm going to do it real quick. If you know how to change a decimal into a fraction, it's fine. If you do not, I'm also going to we'll also show another video with that. So we have negative 1.5. And we're going to change it into a decimal. If you already know that 1.5, 1 is your whole number, half is your fractional part, your half is 0.5. So this is going to be equal to negative 1.5. If you don't know how I get this, here, let me do it real quickly here. So I have 1.5 without the negative, and I'm going to change the mix into an improper fraction. I said 2 multiplied by 1 is 2, and plus 1 is 3. So this is 3 halves. So now I have 3 halves. I could divide. I could divide. So I'm going to divide 3 divided by 2. How many times 2 can go into 3? 1 time. 1 times 2 is 2. Then, of course, you got a minus. When you take, I have 3 minus 2, that's 1. Now, how many times 2 can go into 1? You can't. So, therefore, here you go. I could put a decimal point and I could put as many zeros as I possibly want. It doesn't change anything because I still have my 3 as my whole number. Now, I have to put my decimal point in my answer, right? My quotient area. So, therefore, I could bring down a 0. And becomes 10. How many times 2 can go into 10? 5. 5 times 2 is 10. You minus, you get 0. So we know that 1.5 is equivalent to in decimal as 1.5. Let's go back to our problem. So here I'm going to rewrite. So negative 2.1 minus, for your unknown question mark, I am going to use a variable. I'm going to use x. Is equal to my half, my 1.5 as a fraction. I'm sorry, my 1.5 as a decimal is 1.5. Don't forget your negative 1.5. So now I have my equation all in decimal form. I have negative 2.1 minus x is equal to negative 1.5. Remember, your x is your question mark sign, and your 1.5 is your 1.5 in decimal. So now I could use the inverse operation to solve this problem. So I have a negative in front of my 2.1. So with my negative, I could use the opposite sign as a positive. The opposite sign, positive, 2.1. Remember, our aim is to find x. We got to find isolate x, right? X got to be alone. So what I do with one side, I have to do with the other side. So I have my positive 2.1. I love to draw a line. If you do it differently, it's fine. I love to draw a line. So now I have a negative and a positive with the same number. That cancels out, 0. Then I have to bring back my negative sign down, and then also my x. This, my equal to, I have a negative 1.5 and a positive 2.1. That's going to give me a positive 0.6. Okay, so now my answer here says negative x is equal to 0.6. But we are trying to figure out what the unknown x is. Well, we have a negative. So remember, when you have a negative in front of a variable, it's actually saying 1x. 1 times x is the same thing as x. 1 times x is x. 1 times 5 is 5. right? Not to be confusing. So I'm going to put the 1 there for the sake. And then I'm going to divide. The opposite of multiplication is division, right? The inverse of multiplication is division. So because we're multiplying here, we're going to do the opposite, which is division. And we're going to divide by -1. We have to do both sides. What we do to one side, we do to the other side. -1. So our -1s here are canceled out. So that's left me with x is equal to -1 divided by 0.6 is going to be -0.6. Why is it -0.6? Because when you divide by a negative and a positive, your quotient must be negative. Right, so my answer is -6.1. So let's go back to your answer choice, and you see it's C. Okay, so let's go back to the second problem. I hope you guys could see it. Let me try to zoom in. I'm using my phone, so a little difficult. So here we go. The problem says Manny goes bowling. He has $25 to spend. He spends $4.25 to rent shoes. He spends $2.50 for each game he bowls. Which inequality can Manny use to determine X, the greatest number of games he can bowl? Now we have a few A, B, C, and D. Now the first thing to look at, let's start with how much money he has. Manny has $25. So Manny cannot spend more than $25. So Manny has to have less than or equal to $25. That's what we know. What else do we know? He said he spends $25 to rent his shoes. Manny spends $25 to rent his shoes. So we know it's going to be positive. $25. Sorry, not $25. $4.25 to buy shoes. Right? So that's the initial amount. So he has $4.25. That's the initial amount. Next, he says he spent $2.50 for each game. This word each here, each game. So in order to find what's the greatest number of games Manny can bowl, we're going to need a variable. We're going to need a variable. So we know an operation is going to be plus, and it's $2.50 with an X. I'm going to rewrite this. So now we know that $4.25 is our initial amount, plus for the shoes, plus for each bowling, for each game is $2.50 for each game, and your variable X. And that must be less than or equal to the amount he spent. He has $25. Right? So let's go ahead and look at these answers. So the first one, it says $2.50 plus 4.2 for $4.25. I don't know why I keep saying point. $4.25. And there's an X value here. This cannot be because the initial point is $4.25. That's a one-time fee he pays to rent the shoes. All right, so that cannot be. Next, it says $4.20. 25 cents was the initial value, yes, plus the $2.50 plus each game he spent has to be greater than $25. Cannot be greater than the amount you have, right? So that's a no-no. Next, it says $2.50 plus $4.25 each. We already determined this can't be. Now the last one, it says $4.25, which is the initial, plus $2.50 for each game has to be less than or equal to $25. So we know our answer choice is D. Here we go with these two problems. If you have any concerns, comment, please let me know. Thank you as usual. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.